Alright you guys, thank you for coming back to my channel. Today I want to talk about mistakes that people make when they're building or upgrading their AR-15. These mistakes can be plentiful, right? But I just want to focus on 2 or 3 main points or mistakes that people make when they're building an AR-15. When they're building one, I'm just going to go straight into it with when you're building an AR-15, you might, just like anybody else when they first get into it, you want all the cool accessories, right? You want a suppressor, you want, the expensive red dot or reflex sight, whatever it is you may want. But there's honestly things that we need to focus on. There's things that are more important, and in the YouTube space, there's so many videos on so many great products. And I get it, we're all excited about cool things that can make the gun look better, shoot better, but there's things that we need to focus on, and we need to also instruct people coming into the community, people getting into guns, instruct them on what they need to focus on, what they need to prioritize over other things, right? So for example, if you're building an AR-15 and you have a strict budget, that budget can be 5, 1,000, 15, 2,000 plus, whatever, right? You may, for example, here, let me put this here, collapse this here. You may say, okay, well, I got a regular lower from PSA or wherever. I want to get a Driven Arms Co. grip, right? And those can be 40, 50 bucks without tax and shipping. And in reality, the grip is cool, right? And it's more for comfort and preference. And let's be real, fun factor, cool factor, because they look cool. The different shapes, different molds, whatever have you. I like my K2 grip. It's simple, straight to the point, and she doesn't break the bank. There are things that we should focus on more when it comes to building an AR-15. Or even if you buy an AR-15, these are things that if you want to save money on getting an overall package, there are things that if you are going to upgrade in the future that you should prioritize, right? Main one being the bolt carrier group. Why? Well, because this is the heart of the rifle, right? This is what's going to keep the rifle going. This is what's pushing that round into the chamber, yanking it out, ejecting it, pushing another round, and it gets extremely dirty and beat up. This is the part that's continuously moving, right, at a high rate, and it's just being pounded on. So for example, here, gets a little bit better there. Here I went with a Lantec bolt carrier group. Was it overkill? Maybe. I'm not saying it's necessary for you to just run a Lantec. Reason I ran a Lantec is because it's an enhanced bolt carrier group. It has some special powers when it comes to gassing and directing gas away from the shooter's face. As you can see, there's a gas port here that directs gas forward, away from the shooter's face. And I knew I was going to run this suppressed. If you want to know what suppressor this is my Stacy's mom, full size. You can check out my build breakdown on this rifle here, but nonetheless, this is the bolt carrier group I went with. Did I have to go with this one specifically? No, there's other options there. This bolt carrier group runs a little on the pricier side compared to others. I'm not saying it's the most expensive. It's not as much as a Geisley or any of those higher end bolt carrier groups, but it is on the higher end, more Gucci bolt carrier groups. But I love her. She runs great. Have no complaints so far. Could I have gone with something cheaper? Sure, right? I didn't have to spend the amount of money that I did on it. But it was my preference, and I figured, hey, if I'm building out a rifle, I know this isn't one of the places I need to skimp out on. It doesn't necessarily have to be budget. If I'm gonna spend some money, I want it to be on where it matters most, right? So yeah, the bolt carrier group, first and foremost, I need to make sure that's going to be reliable, easy to clean, good on gas for what I need it to be good on gas for. Because if you're not going to run your rifle suppressed, you don't necessarily need this. And even if you are running it suppressed, you don't necessarily need this. But like I said earlier, this is one of the main components when it comes to the rifle being reliable and functioning well. With that being said, that was number one. Number two, the barrel. It doesn't necessarily have to be a expensive barrel, right? Because there are great quality budget options. For example, this one is a Roscoe 11.5-inch Bloodline barrel, 1-in-7 twist. Solid barrel, right? Good performance from it. Solid barrel, and it doesn't break the bank. Do your research, right? This was my preference. I know this is going to work well. I know this is going to last a good amount of rounds. I have no concerns with this barrel, but do your research because it's shooter's preference. Is this the best barrel? No. Could I gotten something better? Yes. Would it have been would the difference been so noticeable that, you know, I would have been taking a loss by grabbing this barrel over another barrel? No. Because, like, for example, my other option would have been a Criterion barrel. Great reviews. Solid barrel from what I've seen on other people's channels. You know, I did my research on this, and I've even seen videos on this exact barrel being put up against the Criterion, and the results were neck and neck, man. I in terms of longevity, I wouldn't be able to say, but in terms of performance, just accuracy, just in terms of accuracy, they run well, and that's what I wanted. You know, I wanted to build a rifle that was accurate, solid, rugged, and I just wanted it to run. And I didn't want something that was just steel and that's it. You know, rifling and that's it. I wanted something that was going to give me some form of precision so that I can run those heavier bullets, you know, because for self-defense or long range, you'll run those heavier grain bullets. I know out of this 11.5, I like to run 77 to 75 grain open tip match for long range, and then for the range, just regular trips to shoot, I use regular 55 grain 223, and even then, if you watch my first video on this channel, it was not so long ago, you'll see that at my indoor range, 25 yards, I was able to shoot a sub MOA 10 round group, you know, and it was great. I was so ecstatic. That was the first time I've ever done something like that, especially from a rifle that I built myself. I put everything together by hand on this rifle. But yeah, I digress. These are the main two components when it comes to the rifle. That if you're gonna spend the money, spend it here, but also know that you don't necessarily have to spend a crap ton, you know. And it also depends on what you're going for. Like if you're going for an SPR build, I would go ahead and get that Criterion, something that's gonna be able to help you perform at distance, you know, exactly for what it's for an SPR build. But this is not an SPR. I might build an SPR in the future, but you know, this is my do-it-all kind of rifle, you know, my duty rifle. She doesn't have a sling on her right now. I took it off. It's up somewhere. It's in my safe. But yeah, this is my do-it-all rifle, and she gets the job done, and the things that I have in her will get the job done for me, right? So again, focus on the bolt carrier and the barrel. These two things are going to be detrimental to the overall function and reliability of the rifle, right? So these are the two things that are most important. Another main mistake that people make is they ignore these and they want to go straight for the cool anodized parts, man. Those things do not matter at all. At all. That doesn't help you with the overall function of the rifle. That doesn't help you with the performance of it. It looks cool, right? But if you have mil-spec trigger or mil-spec bolt carrier group, you know, these are things that can actually be detrimental. Well, not the trigger, but the bolt carrier group. A mil-spec bolt carrier group could be detrimental to your rifle's longevity. especially depending on what you need it for and what you're looking to get out of it. But yeah, you can spend the money on anodized parts, but at the end of the day, those aren't helping you with anything. It's not helping you become a better shooter. It's not helping you have a solid, reliable rifle, which is what's most important, right? Because these are tools that are used to protect yourself and your family if you have one. But even if you don't, these are tools that are to protect yourself. Another mistake is people, instead of focusing on these things, they also get a FRT. I know that the FRT is the craze right now. I don't know for how long, but I know that at the moment, everyone has an FRT. If you're scrolling through Instagram or even YouTube, you're gonna see it. People shooting off 2 or 3 taps, and then out of nowhere, they switch to the third position, and now they're at, you know, FRT mode. Cool, right? Seems like fun, but again, this isn't something that is important to the rifle and to the longevity of the rifle. On the contrary, that's going to make you waste more ammo quicker, right? And ammo isn't necessarily expensive, but it's also not the cheapest thing. It's very easy for you to go through 1,000 rounds of ammo, and you know, not everyone is going to have $400, $500, $600 to spend on training ammo constantly, right? That to get that 1,000 rounds or whatever. But yeah, you know, the FRT is not important. It's fun, but not important. All right, guys. So you guys already know that, you know, the bolt carrier group, the barrel, the most important parts. Everything else is kind of like working around that. You can upgrade as you please around that, and you know, it's shooter's preference at that point after you're upgrading your bolt carrier and your rifle and your barrel. If you're gonna do a lot of research with those 2 things, and then you can decide on what you want to get. Again, that doesn't mean that you have to spend top dollar on these 2 things individually. Just look at what's quality out there, how they work, what they offer, and then there's companies that are making things at a great price. You know, Roscoe's doing a great job at building things in-house and offering reliable products, quality products at such an amazing price, and they go on sale all the time. Again, bolt carrier group with my Lantac, you don't necessarily need a Lantac. You can get a BCM for less. What else can you get for less? You can get a Sons of Liberty for less. But again, it's up to you. Do your research, do things for your own account. Moving on now, I'm gonna go with the next mistake people do when they're building an AR-15, or even when they're putting together an AR-15 or buying an AR-15 and adding attachments. Not adding thread locker to their muzzle device and their can hub. When I went to go shoot my rifle, it was fine and dandy. She shot well, she ran great, loved it. Came home, I wanted to inspect the can, make sure everything was fine. Removed the can and the muzzle device came out with it. I understand also that when you go through a heat cycle, metal expands and contracts, right, as it heats up and cools down. And that's exactly what happened. That's why the muzzle device backed off completely. I had to use my vise here to get it out because I couldn't with the wrenches, and I didn't want to scratch up my device and my can. So once I took it off, I bought some thread locker, some rock set, and I put rock set on my muzzle device and on the hub. I'm running a Plan B mount. I talked about that during the build video for my AR. But now I let it cure, and now it's solid. It's great. I need to take her out again, but I'm 100% sure, 1,000% sure that it's not going to back out on either the hub or the muzzle device. I know that, you know, the company tells you 30 foot-pounds for the muzzle device, and I think 25 to 30 foot-pounds for the hub adapter. But regardless, man, you know, these things with the Plan B, a lot of you may run it or not, but if you don't know, it's kind of held on with the threads and also friction, right? So it takes about 20% more effort to loosen it than it did to tighten it, right? So if I'm tightening it up, hand tight, I'm gonna have to use 20% more force to loosen it up. But that's how the Plan B system works. But it won't happen now. Now, even if you do it at 25, 30, or even less foot-pounds, as long as I have Roxel on there, it's gonna be solid. It's not going anywhere. And like I said, I've taken it off, put it back on multiple times just to see if it would come off, because, you know, I have a little bit of an issue with trusting things. But yeah, and it hasn't came off, and now she's on there. She's good. And with that being said, I know I'm not the only one, and I know many people are ashamed or embarrassed to admit that they make mistakes. I'm not. I'm living, I'm learning, I'm new to this, I love this. I made a mistake with that. Rookie mistake, I guess. No one's perfect. Everyone's gonna make a mistake once in a while. Yeah. My muzzle device came off. Next mistake people make when they are building an AR15 or adding attachments to them. For example, here I have a can. That's gonna change the overall gassing of the rifle. This does not have an adjustable gas block. This is the Roscoe V2 gas block. The gassiness wasn't too bad on this build. Mind you, on this can I'm running the full vent tip. In my last video I also mentioned that I wanted to change up a little bit the weight on the buffer, simply because I was ejecting at around 230-ish. I want to eject a little bit more, 330. But she wasn't running rough or anything. She was running smoothly, I would say. Yeah, recoil was not bad at all. I know she's a 5.56, but people still complain about having a harsh recoil impulse on overgas rifles. This one doesn't have that. But nonetheless, I still want to adjust a little bit. Right now I'm running the Geisley Super 42 H2 buffer here and spring. I want to change it and put an H3 just to try to see what that does. That's the beauty of this all. Everything is modular and you can work with these things, right? This is like literally adult Legos here. I shot her. I like the way she ran. I want to make minor tweaks, see if she can run a little smoother and eject a little more uniformly. So I'm going to change this to an H3 buffer, probably in a sprinkle spring, and see how that goes. And I'll just put this, and if it runs smoother, I'll put this Super 42 in my next build. A little sneak peek here. I put it on my Instagram, but this is what's coming next. A little carry handle build, and I have a new lower coming in for her. Also, this is very important because of the fact that I'm running a can, and I knew I wanted to run a can on this build or on this rifle. Whether you're running a rifle that you're building yourself or you're buying full, this is an attachment that anyone can have. If you're gonna get a can and you know you want a can, be mindful of the buffer that you have, especially if you don't have an adjustable gas block. And before you go running to buy an adjustable gas block, try to work with what you have already. It's a lot easier, a lot less expensive for you to buy a buffer and spring than it is for you to buy an adjustable gas block. Not saying you can't buy one or you shouldn't buy one. Go for it. But on this build, since I wanted it to be rugged, right, and I wanted to make sure she was reliable and she ran, I didn't want to add another weak point or another failure spot to my rifle with the seizing of a screw or whatever may have you. I just wanted to run something that was going to be solid, you know, straight to the point. I'll adjust as I go type of thing, which is why I went with this this bolt carrier. You know, it's a bolt carrier group that was meant to be ran with suppressed rifles. I knew I wanted a suppressor. I'm gonna get something that I know is gonna help me later on with tuning or at least fine adjustments, right? Because if I change this to an H3 buffer, which is a little bit heavier of a buffer, it'll slow the rate of the bolt carrier group down enough to allow for more of a 3 to 4, but I'm hoping just to keep it at 3 o'clock, 3:30 ejection, compared to a 2:30 type of ejection with the H2 buffer. And yeah, so I would say before you go running to an adjustable gas block on an over gas build because of the fact that it has a larger port in the barrel. Let's just go with adjusting the easier things, right? Because adjusting a gas block is simple if you're running something like a rifle speed. There's superlative gas systems which use a set screw, which is, I've heard nothing but great things from them as well, but still, let's try to keep it simple. Before you run to the things that you don't really understand, get to know your rifle, try to see if you can fix it with minor tweaks here and there, and then you can go and get that gas block and tune it as you like, especially after getting a can. And yeah, and just knowing what you need for your rifle, because if you go too heavy, it can cause sure stroking on your rifle. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically, you know, your carrier group will come back, but it won't go all the way back enough for that round to possibly eject. And even if it does eject, it might not be enough for that next round to come up with it, and you might get something like this where a round is stuck in the chamber there, which is a no-no. It's not something you would want to run into, especially at the range. It's annoying if you're running the wrong buffer weight and that's the only buffer weight that you have while you're there, because now your range strip was cut short. So yeah, let's just be mindful what we got to get. If it's too light, it's gonna run like crap, and ultimately, man, you're just gonna be beating your rifle to crap. It'll end up not being reliable in the long run, because it's gonna end up failing. Something's gonna break. So these are the things that these are some mistakes people make when they're building an AR-15 or buying one and adding things to them. If you have any ideas on what else people make mistakes on getting and adding on, you know, with prioritizing or not prioritizing, just leave them down below. We all make mistakes. In no way, shape, or form is this to judge anyone. I'm saying this, I've even including things where I've messed up. For example, with the muzzle device. You know, we live and we learn. I'm just here to spread some love and let you guys know, you know, just focus on things that are important, which for an AR-15 are going to be the bolt carrier again and the barrel. You don't need to have a specific barrel. You can go with something budget. Just look at how they're made, what's the process that they go through to build these components, and just the longevity of them. And do your research, man. Watch videos. There's a plethora of them on YouTube. Take some time with your build, put quality parts into it, little by little, one at a time, right? Not everything has to be name brand. Just get what you can as you can. On my next build, I still have I have a mil-spec trigger here. It's a PSA lower, running the mil-spec EPT trigger from PSA. Meanwhile, here I have a Geisley SSAE trigger. Highly recommend, by the way. This is an amazing trigger. Extremely light pull. It is night and day. But again, nothing wrong with this. Just take your time, make your build, shoot it, learn it, adjust from there, little by little. You can make your tweaks. And yeah, man, thank you for coming back to my channel. I hope you guys have a great one. Show some love down below. Tell me what you guys are building. Tell me what you're gonna buy for your build, or what are you thinking? What do you know, if you want some thoughts, some ideas, hit me up down below, man. And you know, let's just show some love. Appreciate you guys for coming back to my channel, man. Peace.